for clicking. We're back to creating YouTube content. Be on the lookout for more consistent content launches. This interview you're about to watch with Josh Trott of D Acres was recorded in August of 2020. Enjoy! Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Grasshoppers Landing YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be sitting here virtually with Josh Trott, the founder and executive director of D Acres Permaculture Farm and Educational Homestead. This is our first interview with a farm ally, and this is a really perfect first interview because Josh and D Acres has been a source of inspiration for the way that my perspective on my life and the world at large has evolved over time for the last 13 years. So I'm really excited to have Josh on because he's really shaken things up for me as far as my development as a human. His perspective and his vision in D Acres and the land that is D Acres, which is located in Dorchester, New Hampshire. We'll pull up a map and show where the location is later, but has just been so significant and instrumental for me as a person, and I'm just so happy to have you on here. I just have a couple questions for you, and I wanted to give you space to share whatever you would like to share with us. If you wouldn't mind, just and I want to encourage folks to visit dacres.org as well. There's a lot of really great information about the story of D Acres. But in your own words, Josh, would you mind sharing a little bit about the organizational history and the mission of D Acres?
Oh, sure, Steph. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate all the work you do, and I'm excited to see Grasshopper Landing keep bringing us new and exciting information and knowledge as your organization continues to progress. The D Acres was founded in this form in 1997. I come up here with a couple friends to help my elderly aunt as she made her way from this planet. She was 89 years old, and she was in need of some caretaking. So we started there, and the organization has really blossomed in various ways, and uh, has had a pretty profound influence on myself and people involved with it. It's really about creating a good livelihood for us on this planet, and it really revolves around the place. Really getting to know this place. It's a rural farm in the mountainous area of New Hampshire, the White Mountains. So it's really about what can we grow in our short season climate, and how else can we make best use as stewards of this property. So what we're doing is a little bit of forestry, a little bit of value adding, a little bit of tourism, a little bit of recreation, a little bit of just straight up vegetable farming, uh, and it's always an adaptation, as to the times and the needs of the participants. Right now, it's social distant farming, so doing all we can, uh, maintaining a community here and reaching out into the broader community during uncertain times.
I really admire how you've been adapting to what I'm calling the C-19 era, when we really don't know what's going to happen on a daily basis, and you guys have really stepped up, and you're serving the community, and you acting as the rock, which is really amazing. And I know it's challenging for any organization or business to adapt to and be creatively adapt and respond to what's happening. So you guys have been a really great model for that.
Yeah, well, I think, we have this strong connection to place. That's pretty fundamental in the whole thing is uh, really settling in here and growing some roots has, I think, helped me in a lot of ways endure this. Uh, just having that sort of that rock to cling to.
Absolutely. Thank you. Something that I've been wrestling with lately, especially, as I am trying to, and I'm working on starting my own, regenerative farm and acting as a steward to, about 68 acres that have been mined and has been, clear cut and then selectively cut in strange ways that I'm still trying to uncover the mysteries behind some of the extraction that's been done on the property. But what I'm really learning too is when folks, neighbors and friends and family pop into the farm and it's not what they expected, right? They had some sort of expectation. It's always kind of, it's really been inspiring me, or putting fire under my butt, I guess, to kind of start unpacking like what aesthetics of a landscape means to people when they see these well manicured lawns and landscapes with ornamental landscaping plants, and it's like, well, how did we get here? How did we get to this point where we accept a green lawn with pumping chemicals, a pumpkin patch, and hay rides, and where's the corn? And so I've been kind of trying to challenge people to think like, what does agriculture mean to them, and how do we innovate agriculture in our communities, in our New Hampshire community, to respond to healing the ecological systems that are here, but then also providing all that food. And you've been a pioneer, I think, in our climate here in the Northeast for that type of thing. And I think directly and indirectly you've inspired my thought on around that. And what would you say to people when they have one expectation or perception of what a farm should be or a landscape should be? What's how do we start challenging folks to really dig into that a little bit?
Well, I think you're definitely on the right track in terms of your explanation. Um, where do we find the beauty? Do we find the beauty in a fire pond that's also, a great habitat for amphibians and dragonflies and, pollinators? Like where do we find the beauty in the landscape? And I think, articulating why we find uh, ecological function beautiful is a is the beginning of a conversation, that we need to be having with people in terms of, well, yeah, these flowers are super beautiful. They also, are feeding the pollinators who are in turn feeding the landscape. Like, how do we get that conversation going so people appreciate insects? Um, it's it's a long conversation, and I think it's a progressive conversation. It's not You're not gonna necessarily turn someone's opinion on a dime. So I think you look for those specific examples where you can find the beauty of a wetland, where you can find the beauty of native plants in the landscape. Where do you find the attractiveness of an overgrown uh, area of your farm where things are just chaotic and mayhem? What's wrong with a thicket? So trying to figure out how that how that plays into the big picture for both you and your guests, your visitors. Um, but definitely, I mean, some of the things that people are going to be looking for in an agricultural system are quantifiable. So, can you provide evidence of that? You know, people are looking for the food production, but can they also look and visually see, you know, the quantity of insects hovering over your pollinators section of your garden? Can they visibly see, you know, just that ecological smorgasbord happening? Can you point that out to them? Um, can they look at, you know, can they listen? Can they hear at night? Can they hear all the amphibians and the critters of place? I mean, that's sort of the evidence that you can provide that substantiates, you know, the direction we're going. What I mean, to me, the effort is well spent to develop your landscape for ecological bounty. You know, that could be potentially be a point of argument, but that's what I am going for. I'm going for ecological bounty. I'm not necessarily going for, you know, how many ears of corn can I get out of this acre of land. Uh, so let's define our objectives and let's speak to that and let's provide evidence of that, and then we can move forward from there. I hope
Thank
that
you.
makes sense. Yeah.
It makes so much sense. It's so perfect. You know, one of the things, of course, the namesake of Grasshoppers Landing, grasshoppers, and it's not because they own the landing. It's that every step that you take in August, right? Those grasshoppers are walking, they're hopping with you because they're just landing everywhere, and they nibble all sorts of plants. And there's several species that I'm finding several species of grasshoppers there. They're very beautiful. I love them. But a lot of frogs, a lot of toads, lots of pollinators. I can't even believe the species of wasps that I'm seeing, and beetles and moths. I've just gained this appreciation of moths. I think they're the unappreciated cousin, or less appreciated cousin to butterflies, for sure. And I think there's a lot of opportunity. And I love that you just mentioned insects a few times, because I've just grown to absolutely love and appreciate the wonder of that tiny insect world, the diversity that comes with it. But you know, even in an urban setting and an urban garden, if folks don't have the access to the wilderness, they're able to, and they can start to understand the biodiversity of natural systems in a small garden in this urban setting, because insects will come, right? If you build it, if you plant it, they will come as long as you're not spraying. And just the diversity, and I've really been challenging. I've been teaching at elementary school age kids, and even at that age, they've already have ingrained in them. They're like afraid of the creepy crawlies. But I've been working on, you know, trying to figure out why even young people have those stigma attached to insects, and I've been challenging that, and it's been really successful. I think I've been opening up kids' eyes to the insect world and the wonder of, you know, the diversity there. So it's been so much fun. So I really appreciate you exploring that with me. Thank you. I'm going to ask you if you have anything else you want to add to this conversation, but first I wanted to plug one of my favorite books. We've got the Community Scale Permaculture Farm. This is my copy. You can see it's a little bit used, well loved. And so I want to encourage folks to check this out. And then Josh, I actually wanted to ask you if, you know, there's a better place to purchase this book. I know not all places to purchase books are equal. And so is there a place that you suggest folks find it to buy?
If you get it on our website, then I'll sign it.
Oh, in there. Get ready to book your trip, because it's such a beautiful place. every time of year. There's always something to see. I've been really fortunate to be on the land in every season, winter, spring, summer, fall, and any day of the year. There's a lot to see. It's better than the hottest Netflix binge show. I can speak for that personally. Josh, thank you so much. Is there anything you wanna add to our viewers? This is gonna be archived in time, so like it could be year 2028, and people are gonna be like, "Wow,
What happened?
remember that interview, that D Akers interview back in 2020, COVID era?"
Well, Steph, I want to hear more about the problems you're working on right now so I can offer you a time encapsulated viewpoint, because we're probably doing the same sort of stuff you're doing 20 years ago. Uh,
Sure.
how is your access? How is your marketing? How is your people power? How are things going down there?
Well, right now, I'm working with the town. Um, of Loudon, and I'm really trying to be a great citizen. I'm on the Loudon Conservation Commission. I go to the town meetings. I think that's really important to be a positive force in town, because I think I challenge some of. There's a lot of farms. There's actually a fair amount of farms in Loudon, and I think what I'm doing a little bit different. And so I try to be, positive. The town is a little confused, I think, what's going on there, and that's okay. One of the fundamental things that I'm working on right now is water, and right now I'm in like the observe and interact, small and slow solutions phase, where I'm really just observing, instead of just like wanting to control what's growing and, oh, this isn't growing, there's got to be more, I need more water, and like, how do I, get that? At one point I was like, okay, I'm going to catch water from my roof of the shed that's on there. It's like 11 by 32. I set up water, rainwater harvesting, and then of course it didn't rain for a month. It didn't rain for a month, and I was like, okay, fair enough. And then I was bringing in water and drums, because my truck can only hold, so much volume of water. Water's heavy. Talk to my neighbors about the wells that they've dug or drilled, and like what that costed and what that took. And just trying to figure that out, I guess. Thinking about going for loan or for grants for that, maybe. Because I can't really produce annual crops right now. And so, but it's kind of been, I've trying to spin it as an opportunity to observe what is growing there, what insects am I finding, what is coming up, what vegetation is coming up. Wow, let's use this opportunity to learn more about the history, the natural history, the human history of the land. There was an old mining cabin on the land, and the foundation has been covered up, but a couple of my neighbors are interested in going with their metal detectors. Maybe we can open a museum. I don't know. But so it's been really interesting, and I've really had to slow down, which has always been something that I have struggled with. So, and then of course there's pressure, like, oh, well, I thought this was a farm, like what's going on? So I'm like not even in phase 0 yet, really. I was trugging along. I was planting some perennials, and some annuals and some things, and I'm just like, well, okay, what's gonna do well? What's doing well with just the rain that we're getting, and the way that the system is a little bit out of whack, just because it's been kind of exploited for centuries, ultimately. And so I'm kind of letting the land heal and learning from that, and learning from the birds and everything. So, trying to be a leader in agricultural innovation, just to challenge people, what people think of as agriculture, or consider, how do we define agriculture? That's something that I've been also thinking about. So, Yeah, I don't know. Water, water.
Water's huge.
Yeah.
Water and soil development. Um, are there any wet spots on the land?
So there is. There's a wet spot. There's a little stream that is actually dry right now, but it has been running and meandering in this same uh and that's I
I
would say, oh, there we go.
So the water is from that little stream, and
I haven't drawn from that water. I haven't wanted to mess with. I just didn't think it was a there was enough. The discharge rate was too slow, and I don't want to. I didn't want to mess with the ecology. I feel like it's a really fragile system down there. So I've just been kind of keeping an eye on it this season. And yeah, I haven't drawn on it or anything like that. I've literally been bringing it in or utilizing water harvesting, rainwater harvesting, which I'd like to beef up that system. Um, but of course, haven't seen much there. Um, do you have a well? How deep is it, if you don't mind me at? Like, do you know how deep it is?
deep, deep.
Yeah. My neighbor's is 325 feet.
Yeah, I mean, it is important at some level to figure out what's below the surface. You know, test pits are part of it. But yeah, you know, you want to be wise about where you're putting them, and you know, I t- time is in your favor. You know, it's better to be patient than and frugal than to be in a rush because you're going to learn a lot as time goes by on the land, especially through the seasons. Um, it's important to be there and see how the land uh, learn to live with the land through the seasons.
That's the most encouraging advice that I've heard in a long time, and I feel that. And it's hard when there's a lot of people coming in saying you should do this and you should do that, and it's like whoa, whoa. It's like this need to control. I think like, but I love being there. I learned so much just from being there. It's like when I am able to take a break or take a step back and just say, oh, aha, it's been right in front of me all along, is when I'm really my path forward is clear, becomes clear. So I appreciate that. That's just really encouraging, and it's what I need to hear now for sure. Because it seems like the only way forward, but it's hard to it's hard because not everyone shares our vision.
Yeah, I think people, you know, people that would jump to such rapid conclusions are not really in the same principles of observation and interacting. You know, you can't just walk onto a site and speak to it, you know, even if you have the years and years of experience. I think you need to digest and reflect. Uh, these people, you know, they need to be listening to you and your heart versus listening to, you know, what their perception is. Um, yeah, I think, you know, just the fact that people are so willing to offer cookie cutter or, you know, these off the hip suggestions, uh, slow down. Just give it some time to consider those suggestions versus acting upon them. It doesn't have to happen in that progression. So that's a choice. And, you know, you just got to feel good about the rationale and push that agenda forward as it manifests versus this has to happen right now, then this has to happen next. And it, there's got to be more dynamic feedback to the whole reality in my mind.
Well, I just want to thank you so much. Thank you. I want everybody to go to dacres.org right now. If you can, this book is incredible if you don't have it in your collection. But also book your next trip if you can up to Acres. What states is it? I know for mountain biking, you're accepting folks from Vermont and New Hampshire. Is the same with camping, or is camping just New Hampshire folks for now?
Camping's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Camping.
That's great news for our viewers. It's your summer will not be complete without a trip to the Acres. Your year will not be complete, okay? All right. Thanks, Josh.
Thank you, Steph.
Okay.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching. I apologize for the grainy video. It is rainy and a little bit dark here. But I think you get the picture. I hope you enjoyed that interview or conversation half as much as I enjoyed having it back in August. Just wanted to give you an update about Acres. There remains to be free use of cross-country ski and snowshoe trails through the winter, which is coming to an end. Mountain biking trails are opening on June 1st. The Acres Hostel is also opened with several unique lodging options available. I actually wrote this, but and I am reading what I wrote, but it doesn't sound very authentic. But believe you me, there's some really great, unique options for lodging, including a tree house, a tiny house, and converted school buses. Check out www.dacres.org to explore current offerings, sign up for the email newsletter, buy Josh's book, or gain access to other awesome free resources, including a Acres guide to mushroom log cultivation that I just found when I was snooping around the site. I also caught up with Josh today, March, it's got to be 30th, and he said, just wanted to send a report hot off the press, that we are still kicking and the future is ours to make. There's restaurant takeout and lodging back in operation on the farm. Check out the website for details. Rock on. See y'all soon. Enjoy. And hit that like and subscribe button.